One of the biggest films of literally all time was the mega smash Some Like It Hot, made in late 1958, released to great acclaim in 1959. It starred, of course, Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, Marilyn Monroe, and Joe E. Brown, written and directed by Billy Wilder and Izzy Diamond. A mega smash, but not necessarily at the beginning. You see, according to Izzy's widow, it was her actually who said, look, there's no pinpoint in this that lets you know it's a comedy. But what they did was rearrange it, reboot it, and then of course re-promote it back out to an audience, basically saying it's okay to laugh. This was Marilyn Monroe's most successful film. She took a percentage on the deal, and that kept her rich for many years. Now, Tony Curtis told me all about the making of Some Like It Hot, and it was fabulous, really, when you think about it, because there were so many stories to share. He basically got the part, as he told me, simply because Frank Sinatra turned it down, didn't like the idea of being in drag for part of the film. Jack Lemmon was simply booked because he was quite cheap, and I don't mean that cruelly, but that's what Tony told me, and you can understand. Tony had some stand-in, of course, for quite a few years, and Billy Wilder kept saying, yeah, we'll find you something to work together on. Originally, it was going to be Mitzi Gaynor in the role of Sugar Cane, not Marilyn Monroe. They simply couldn't afford her. Marilyn had got financial problems, having been off screen for a couple of years, and so decided to sign on, as I say, for a big fee and a percentage deal. All was going well, sort of. You see, when they first showed Marilyn Monroe the rushes of Some Like It Hot, and she first appeared on screen, she said, no, this isn't how Marilyn Monroe enters a movie. You need to find something better. So overnight, Izzy Diamond and Billy Wilder now wrote the famous scene where Marilyn totters down in high heels and, of course, seamless tights, basically having that puff of smoke coming out of the train, which was filmed on the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer studio lot. The reason being is simply because they had a train station and a big unmovable train there. You see how costs mount up now. Here's where it gets really interesting though, because as you know, Carrie Grant made an appearance in the film. Well, not quite. That's because Tony Curtis was impersonating Carrie Grant as the billionaire who woos Marilyn Monroe's sugarcane out to his yacht. That's right, he was a descendant of Shell Oil. Remember that story? What a great fun film this really was. You'll want to watch it after this, won't you? Now, here's again where it gets really interesting, because Tony told me that while they had a lot of cameos in the film, you know, from the likes of George Raft and Joey Brown and people like that, the gangsters at the beginning, there were certain ones that wouldn't agree to it, like Humphrey Bogart. He didn't want to send up his image, say, from Casablanca, so he firmly said, no thanks, not for me. Now, Carrie Grant had a good sense of humour, there's no two ways about it. Originally from England, Bristol, and he knew sort of exactly what people thought and how they'd spoofed him over the years. He actually gave Tony Curtis some personal lessons on how to perform as Carrie Grant in the movie. And he was all up for a very final cameo in the end of the boat scene. We told you about that before, the boat scene that does now not include Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe. Apparently the shooting had wrapped and they didn't want to pay her any more money, so she decided not to turn up on the final day's film of shooting. Hence the reason you don't see Tony and Marilyn in the back of the boat. What happened was, Izzy Diamond and Billy Wilder decided this was possibly one joke too far. And then word got to Marilyn Monroe. Now, Marilyn was a fan of Carrie Grant. They'd appeared together in the 1952 movie Monkey Business. But she felt that lots of people could be talking about Carrie Grant's cameo and a little bit less about Marilyn Monroe's sugarcane. So very delicately, Carrie was said, well, we like the idea, we're just not sure it would work. The true story was that Marilyn Monroe only wanted to share a scene with Carrie Grant, and the writers only felt that Carrie should pop up at the end, looking quizzical at both Marilyn and Tony in character. Something apparently Miss Monroe was less than keen on, and after all, she was the real star of Some Like It Hot, proving once again star power in Hollywood definitely rules. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.